Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I want to do my college football playoff predictions for week 4. So I think last week mine were pretty much the same aside from moving Bama out. Um, I had Ohio State, Baylor, Michigan State, and Alabama last week. Obviously Alabama lost. They moved down to, I think it's number 11 this week. So go ahead and start with my number 1. My number 1 seed, Ohio State. So Ohio State had a pretty close game against Northern Illinois last week. Barely won 22-13, but I think Ohio State's still the number 1 team in the country, definitely the most talented team in the country. And until they lose, or until some other team proves that they are the clear number 1 that I could trust that team could beat pretty much any team, anywhere, anytime, then Ohio State is still the team that I think could do that better than anyone else. Move on to number 2, Baylor. So I think Baylor right now is the favorite to come out of the Big 12. TCU hasn't been looking too strong of late. Their out-of-conference games didn't look too good. SMU, they let them hang around for a little bit too long. SFA looked good, but it's Stephen F. Austin. You can't really base too much off of that. And then Minnesota they played them a little too close. Minnesota hasn't been looking extremely good since. So, yeah, I think Baylor is the team to beat right now. See in a few weeks how they are in Big 12 play, but if Seth Russell can get all his turnover issues ironed out and the defense can be just like a little bit more consistent, they can put up points at will. It's the same story as always for Baylor, and I think they're in a little bit more of a wide open race in the Big 12 than a lot of people anticipated. A lot of people anticipated to be TCU, Baylor at the top. Obviously, it's too early to really tell right now. TCU could get it together pretty soon. But move on to my number 3 seed, which is Michigan State. So Michigan State, really nothing too new over the weekend. I believe they are number 2 in the country right now. So this Ohio State-Michigan State game looks like it's going to come down. Looks like the Big Ten could definitely come down to that. It's going to be a huge game. I don't know if both teams can make it. We'll have to see what happens with all the other top 5 teams, how many losses the other teams in college football playoff contention have. Right now, there's been a lot of top teams going down, if not just looking bad. I think that if Michigan State or Ohio State loses, but they still play close, I'd say like a 3-point game. The game looks good, the game looks clean, and then they pretty much run through the entire rest of their schedule, then I think they'll be fine. Honestly, I'd say Michigan State has a better... Actually, I really don't know. It's hard to say because if Ohio State loses, they don't really have the schedule to back them up to make the college football playoff. Really, all they have going for them is the championship from last year, which is a lot going for them, but still, if a lot of teams build an impressive resume, it might be hard for them. And then Michigan State, if they lose, I think they'd be in a little bit more of a favorable situation if you're just looking at schedule because of the win against Oregon. And, if they do play them close, the way it looks right now, I think Michigan State has proved that they are one of the top 4 best teams in the country. That's just as of now, though. And then move on to my number 4 seed, which is Georgia. So, I know a lot of people probably have Georgia overhyped every season. Last year, Georgia was a trendy pick at the beginning of the year to make the college football playoff. They're always a pick to go to the BCS championship, win the SEC, something like that at some point. But, pretty much everyone who's followed Georgia even kind of closely, or just SEC football as a whole, knows how much they choke. I really do think that this could be a very favorable year for Georgia. The running back depth is even better than normal. Grayson Lambert's looked good. The defense has looked very good. And I think this is the easiest the SEC East has been in a long time. I think the second and third best teams are Florida and Tennessee, and to be honest, I don't think either teams were really... I think Tennessee's pretty good. We'll see this weekend when they play each other, but I don't think Florida or Tennessee can really compete with Georgia right now. The way the SEC East is just kind of eating itself up, or it looks like it's going to eat itself up, I could see Georgia maybe being a one-loss team in the college football playoff. The tough thing for them is they still have to play teams like Alabama, Tennessee, and then obviously if they go to the SEC championship, then they're going to have to play the best team out of maybe the best conference or maybe the best division in college football. So as of right now, though, I do think they're the best team in the SEC. I do think that they are better than Ole Miss right now. It's a lot to say, but Georgia hasn't really had trouble running through anyone yet. They don't really look like they have a huge weakness right now. They've got unlimited running back depth. The receiver position looks good. Quarterback looks good, which no one really expected. The defense looks solid. So, yeah, I think right now they are the 4th seed. It's just Pac-12 right now doesn't look like they have a clear-cut favorite. I think if you had to name one, it'd probably be UCLA. But UCLA has a very tough schedule coming up, and it's hard to rely on Josh Rosen right now. I do believe he's very talented. I do think he'll have a very good year, but I don't even think they're going to get past Arizona this weekend. USC just proved probably won't make I wouldn't say they're eliminated from college football playoff contention, but they're very close to it. Oregon, this Utah game's big for them this weekend, but I also think that they're probably out of contention for the time being. And I think that pretty much covers all the contenders inside the Pac-12. The ACC, Clemson did not look too good last week, played a Louisville team that a lot of people are saying that the game was, whatever articles I've been reading, I've been talking about, if that's Louisville's worst performance on offense, they'll be fine. And, I'm not going to believe something like that. If Louisville hasn't looked good against any team they played. Obviously, they lost to Auburn, who just looks horrendous at this point. They lost to Houston, who's a kind of a middle-of-the-road AAC team. So I do believe that Clemson still is a good team, but it's hard for me to believe that they can run all the way through an ACC, an underrated ACC, really, where they got to play teams like Georgia Tech, Duke, Florida State. And to be honest, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it through that schedule. I think Florida State and Clemson are about even right now. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for my college football playoff predictions for Week 4. See how they go this weekend. And, yeah, see you guys next week with my Week 5 college football playoff predictions. So that's pretty much it. See ya.